So, for a while now, a popular politician, very influential one at that, and his ex-wife have been in the news over the custody of their children. According to reports, the ex-wife has been complaining that this man, this politician, have taken away her children and denied her access to all 4 of them. There are speculations that this case is dragging because the man in question is also a very influential politician. But recently, this woman came to social media asking Nigerians for help, saying that, listen, she needs access to her children. The man, on the other hand, showed a video of the children and a nanny trying to predict, or is it nannies, predict that, or I'm looking for the word, to depict that they're happy and they're doing well. So the question, therefore, is, when a woman is married to a highly influential person and they go their separate ways, either in divorce or separation, what laws do we have to support a woman in getting access to her children? And that's really the question here. And at some point, we'll be having a lawyer to be shedding light on this. I think we have, let me get her name. We have Chidozie Ogbehil. She's the lawyer based in Lagos, and we'll be bringing him on a bit later to shed some light. But I'd like to hear the thoughts of the ladies on this. In the issue of custody, abroad, we understand usually the system almost supports a woman. You know, it's almost a no-brainer that, you know, yes, you go to court, but oftentimes the court looks at the objectivity of the case. Okay, who has more earnings, who can provide for the children, and you see what happens at the end of the day. But here, it drags, and it's almost like the person who has the upper hand takes over the children. In your case, how have you heard, and what stories have you heard, and what are your thoughts on this issue exactly?
Okay, for me, I think most parents are selfish when it comes to issues like this. You get into a relationship, you claim to love each other, and then for whatever reason, the love goes sour, and you want to take it out on the children, the innocent children who did not beg for you to bring them to life. You know, we've had this case. I remember growing up, there was a family member of mine who was married to this woman, and then the thing did not work out. And I know how she will sneak into their school to pick them up. The man will go there, take the kids back, beat her up in her compound at the time. She will come back again. She'll be hiding in the fence. She'll be calling us, come, come. Call my son for me, call my daughter for me. I bought biscuits, I bought, you know, it was so traumatic, even for the children. So for me, aside the court, I know the court will take its time and they work based on the evidence they have in front of them and how they assess it, which is, I can't fault them, that's the justice system. But you as a parent, how are you concerned about the emotional trauma you are going to be giving to that child? Every child needs the father and the mother. I'm not saying especially the mother, the father and the mother, if they are healthy, if they are mentally okay to take care of the child, they need that. And now that one of you is out of the house for whatever reason, why do you want to deny access to the other person? Even if it's to come and, even if you are going to supervise, okay, I'm going to be around when you come and see these children. Come, have a good time with them, and then go. We continue our fight outside. Why do we have to allow these children bear the brunt of our misbehavior and everything that has happened?
Right.
So why don't we find that way for the sake of the children first? Put the children first. You can sort out yourself in court later and then take custody however the court gives it. But the children first, please.
So in this kind of situation, you mean, we see Nigerians, you know, and we try to say, what's the most civilized approach in this situation? Yes, you and the person, you and the spouse fell out. But how can you pack your ego, your emotional hurts, and focus on what BC just said, the children? How difficult is this process, do you think, Mariam?
It's difficult depending on the sort of person you are. And it will be easier. That's also determined by the sort of person that you are, or how aggrieved you feel, and how much access to power you think you have, and you can manipulate the situation. Yes, marriages, some of them end. Some love relationships go sour. But as BC has just said, if you put the children first, if to you, both of you, the children are important, you will set your ego aside, because this is not really about the children anymore. This is an ego tussle. This is, I know who you don't, how dare you do what you have done to me, and I will show you how powerful I am and who I am. This, your children, you may never see them. Or, you know, I'll constantly come on the news or media and talk ill of you. So I've heard Nima a few times that she's had to handle family situations. She's always begging for mediation before it gets to the court. Let's see what we can do. Let's have a sit down and let's talk. And that's what I also know that families, especially Nigerian African families, try to do. The family will come in and try to talk to, you know, someone. There has to be somebody that this person respects enough, listens to, and is, you know, unwilling to look bad before them. Sometimes when I see people like that, I always say, is it that they are so stubborn that there's no one in their family or amongst their friends that can make them see reason? Or just put your grievances aside and your anger aside, and let's do this for the sake of the children. This particular story that we're talking about, even though that video was supposed to show, look, the children are happy, but it looked even more sad to me. It looked sad to me because if they're so happy, why is the mother on the outside crying just to see them? I know the politician in question also said, well, she has access to come and see them in the house. But we have heard stories of domestic violence. And I can understand how a person may not want to put themselves in the situation where they were violated, you know, in the essence. And there's nothing wrong in finding a neutral place for her to visit while the father is there supervising. So that's why it's important when it comes to the justice system, social works, you know, families. It's important that all hands are on deck to allow for easy transition.
We learned recently about ego. That ego is not always a bad thing.
Yes.
Now, in this situation, could it be, if I were in the woman's shoes, let's put ourselves in that woman's shoes right now, and this man who, and this question is probably for Tokwe, this man who you fell out with and he maybe allegedly beat you up and he had a really serious breakdown with you and you hate him with every fiber of your being. No problem. But he has given you a condition. The only condition is that you come and see them in my house. You as a woman who desperately want to see your woman, would you put aside your own ego too and say, okay, because of that, I will go with a guide or somebody to follow me. Okay, I want to go and see my children, even if it is once a month. You also swallow that ego. But is there that ego tussle you talked about where both sides are not willing to make room for the children in this regard? What do you think?
I think that you cannot expect rational behavior from people going through emotional trauma.
Fantastic.
And in most cases, when there's a bitter separation, both parties are going through emotional trauma. The challenge is two elephants fighting, the grass is the children get to suffer in between this. So it's important that the wiser one in the party seeks professional help and deals with him or herself so that they are more rational in relating with the other party that might not be that rational at the moment. So for me, if it is the woman, because you're the one coming to social media crying, so obviously you desperately want to see your children. And I cannot imagine what she's going through. So my thought would be, do all that you can. Bend over backwards. If you feel that you need to go through you need to psych yourself to be able to get into that house. Psych yourself because you are making this sacrifice for your children. If for any reason you now get attacked again there, we would understand that you have gone far above and beyond. If he says you are not allowed into the house to even meet the children anyway, we can understand that. But I believe that you must exhaust all peaceful options before going online, because social media never forgets. And these children, they will grow up and see these things there. So it's important that we protect our children as much as possible. But like I started by saying, we cannot expect rational behavior from people who are going through emotional trauma. So the first line is each parent and anyone in any divorce separation process, get yourself emotionally right. Because you cannot give to the child when you are not in a stable situation.
So we're going to go on break. So what you're saying is that You're broken right now. You're hurt. It's not a good time to make a decision. Go find yourself some healing, right? Before you now say, and then approach the situation like, okay, now I'm healed. I'm over the thing we had. Now I'm ready to have a conversation on this student. Maybe that's an option. We don't know. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of custody. Now, we know there's a part of the law, which we're going to get to in a moment with our guests. But there's also the part of the moral guidelines people engage in these kind of things. What's the logical thing to do? What's the civilized thing to do when a man and a woman are going their separate ways and the children are involved? We've seen a case, as I said earlier, of a politician where he seems quite influential, and the woman has 4 children with him, 4 boys, and she's like, I want access to my children. And for whatever reason, he's saying, I'm not stopping you, but she's scared of going into his house. So in that situation, Tokwe had said that when there are 2 emotional people fighting, there's no, you can't have any kind of reasoning. So they need somebody, maybe a neutral person, to help them see reason. But the question, therefore, is how do we ensure that in all this, the children win?
Yeah, but just like, yes, of course, a breakdown of a marriage would involve a lot of irrationality, especially in the beginning, you know, when it's really hot. But that's why we have a system. That's why we have mediation. That's why we have family members. That's why we have a justice system, the court system, because those, you know, the system is impartial, is neutral. I understand what you're going through. I understand that you may hate each other. You have parents call, grandparents or parents calling people who are on the verge of divorce or divorce. They say, I get it. You may hate each other. But you see, these my grandchildren. They must not lack for fatherly or motherly attention. I don't care what it is people are fighting about, but you must make sure that this and this and this. And then you come up with like a timetable, a template. Okay, you visit from this time to this time. They spend this holiday with you until these emotions sort of die down and you become a little more rational. Right. And I hope that they get to that point very soon, because we have had people who have carried theirs for so long that anger, like, until the child now grows up and is independent enough to leave home before they can get to the other parent. So I hope that these particular ones we're talking about will quickly see.
Okay, let me come to the lawyer. Lawyer Chidozie Ugbehi. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good to have you on the show. Yes. So before you came on the show, we were talking earlier about this issue of custody. Now, we've seen internationally that they review various facts, maybe who is financially stable, who is more emotionally stable. In the case we're talking about, the man obviously in question seems more financially stable to take care of these children. But if we look at the emotional part, there's still a lot of emotional breakdown on both ends. So in your view, in this kind of situation, how do we fight for the children to have access to both father and mother, where even the mother can have access to her children?
Okay, good. So, as you have pointed out, it's a very, very tricky situation when children are caught between a separation and divorce. Very tricky. Okay, now, you have also pointed out that internationally, as well as Nigeria, some things are considered by the courts before they can reach what we can call, before they can make a decision on custody. The primary concern under the law, Matrimonial Custody Act, says the interest of the children. That's the primary or paramount concern. So what is in the interest of the children at each time? That's what always dictates. One of the issues to be concerned is financial stability, as you know, the age and the gender of the child. These are things that will be considered, as well as who can provide proper accommodation. We're talking about 4 children. Okay, before I go to the 4 children issues, let's also go to a specific thing. The only ground or situation where any of the parents, either the man or the woman, which denied custody, is where they can be proven to be shown to be unfit, which means maybe the children will be under some form of harm. Maybe, you know, if you look at the allegations going back and forth between the parties we're talking about, you will see things in the news like abusive, you know, all those things. You have to declare, try to show the court that this person is unfit I don't know. Are we together?
Isn't that a bit, like that process of trying to show someone of it, isn't that like a bitter division? Because that will mean that each party will be looking for what is wrong with the other person and emphasizing the person's fault. Isn't that bitter in itself, an unhealthy environment to have children caught in?
Okay, so let me also separate it. So there are some countries in the world where when parties are trying to either separate or divorce, I keep using separate or divorce because of the technical marriage relationship situation we're talking about here. We're not sure of the marriage or whether or not there's a marriage. Do you understand what I'm saying? So because of the allegations around this. So let's use separation or divorce to be on the safe side. Now, when under Nigerian law, what we practice is a false divorce-based system or false separation. Somebody has to be at fault. You cannot. There are countries where you have what we call a no-fault divorce. I don't know if you are following. So in the case where the system specifies that someone has to be at fault. Although when it comes to custody issues, the person, whoever it is who has been found to be at fault, does not necessarily get punished with custody. Like you don't get denied of custody simply because they're at fault for a wedding or a marriage breaking down. I don't know if you follow. So when it comes to custody, it is just the interest of the children. It's no longer about fault. But if you are insistent or you are trying to deny one of or your partner, in this case, access or custody, you want to show that they are unfit. It's not fault. It's just fitness. This child will be, or these children will be under harm. They might fall under, they're not being catered for. This person doesn't have the capacity to cater to this number of children due to their emotional stability, their whatever it is, maybe their health. You just show unfitness. And so in Nigeria, there are different types of custody orders that can be given. There's a joint custody. There's a split custody. You know, among others, although the joint custody is the more popular option, where both parents have custody.
Okay, go ahead. Let me get the question in for you.
Ask you this question. Okay. So I had a case recently where the court had given this woman custody of the children, but the husband refused to obey the court. Until today, she's still fighting to get him to even appear in court and present these children. He went to their school, changed their school without her permission, and disappeared, practically kidnapped the children. What is the justice system supposed to do in such a case, especially with an influential person? Because this person I'm talking about is quite influential, and they have done nothing to him yet.
Okay, so if we're talking about the same situation, I'd like to say that the woman in question simply filed a custody action. There is no custody order yet. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong. I have not seen anyone. If there was a custody order, it would have circulated in the news. You understand the situation?
Not this particular case.
It is just a custody action.
Not this case. There's another case I'm talking about. What do you do in that case? Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, no. As soon as you have any court order, once the other party is defaulting or not obeying the court order, there's a way to enforce an order. There are steps you can take to make sure or to enforce any order of court. So as far as we're talking about court judgment, it means lawyers have been involved. So her lawyer simply, or whoever has the court order for custody, simply just needs to enforce it. You do not have the option or the choice of...
If ordinary federal government doesn't obey court order, is it normal city that will obey court order?
This one, I know this case.
Yeah. We're talking about when it comes to this kind of issues, they are given by state high courts. You can simply, in fact, as a matter of fact, disobeying court orders is a very grave offense. Yeah. It leads to imprisonment. You know, there are steps you can take to make sure whoever is defaulting ends up in prison.
Okay. All right, so, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Where are we again? Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing this issue of custody. And I think Mariam had a question before the break. Go ahead, please.
So if we look at this particular case in question and seeing the videos that they have put up, would this in any way affect what is going on in court? Would it be beneficial to the mother and injurious to the father's case, or vice versa? What do you think will happen with the videos out there?
Okay, so if we're still speaking of the same situation, when the matter is before the courts, It's known as, there's a term called sub judice. Parties to the suit or the judge of the release prevented from speaking about the specific situation. So normally the court is supposed to ignore any discussions around it and just determine the case based on the law and the issues before the court. Not public sentiment, not opinion, not, do you follow? Just the issue before the court. Now, neither you or I is privy to whatever issues they filed. We just keep hearing hints of it, just, glimpses. We just hear things that they said they filed. We don't know how good these processes are. We don't know the facts they put before the court. But those are simply the things the court consider, as well as the provisions of the law. In this case, the Matrimonial Causes Act, because that's what it talks about, and the child custody, the child rights law. Those are the laws that talk about the specific issues here now. I don't know if that answers the question.
Right. Yes, Doctor.
Let me ask, in cases where there is no legal marriage, like...
Good.
How can such cases be resolved? You've lived with each other, or you're not actually legally married, and now you have children in between, and now you've separated. What would the process of choosing where the child will stay, who would have a right to that child?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a great question. I love this question. Now, I mentioned at first that the marriage situation between them is quite tricky. We don't know the situation. We don't know how legitimate. So let's go straight to an unmarried couple. Now, Nigeria is bound. One of the foundational laws of Nigeria is what we call common law. Nigeria also has to be bound by common law. Some of the things that affect our law. Now, under common law, a mother originally has the right to custody of an illegitimate child. The word illegitimate means that born out of wedlock. You follow? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly, yes.
Okay. So the mother originally has the right to an illegitimate child, to the exclusion of the natural father of the child. Now, for a father to be awarded this custody under the circumstance where they are not married a woman, he must establish under common law that this mother is unfit. That's a simple thing. Now, similarly again, when a woman has a child, right, by a man who she's not married to, now, the normal proper guardian, let's even leave custody out of it, right? The guardian, the original guardian of the child, should be the father of the mother of the child. Do you follow? Even if the father has acknowledged that, yeah, this is my child, just simply because of not married this woman, it is the father of the mother who should have guardianship over the child. Typically, you see this in Igbo culture, where if you don't marry an Igbo woman, whoever she gives birth to, she just person bears her father's surname. Yes. I don't know if you follow. Hello?
I can hear you. So,
it's just surprising.
I'm talking about under common law, I'm talking about under customary law. What happens in our traditional setting?
Interesting.
But now, immediately we go straight to the Matrimonial Causes Act, which is the law that guides child custody in Nigeria, right? Matrimonial causes, everything, marriage, custody, guardianship, everything, the law. It's usually binding on people who have been actually married.
Right. I guess, so based on what you're saying, it's really an issue of enforcement. So we have laws.
Yes.
It's an issue of enforcement.
So it's not just enough to have rights. You have to actually go and enforce those rights. It's not just enough to have a judgment or a court order. You have to go and enforce those things. In Nigeria, just you pointed out, people do not take these things seriously. I have rights. They've never done anything about them. I have a court order, They never do anything about them. Yeah. They just keep coming to social media to stir up the policy, right? And people just get entertained on social media.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done there.
So, let me ask you this question, sir. Okay. In a situation where the woman is fearful for her life, so she feels that this man used to beat her up, for example, she alleged that, he was violent towards her, and going to him. So, in this situation, the man is saying, I have not stopped you from seeing your children. Yes, we have a court judgment. You can come and see them in the house. And the woman is like, I can't go to that house, that house that they used to beat me up. Or she's just scared or petrified. Can the court compel him to find a middle place, a neutral place, where the children can meet their mother?
As a matter of fact, the court can even compel them to bring the child to court for that meeting. But these things are not things that happen on their own. You have to actually ask. The lawyers on both sides have to make applications to courts for temporary custody. There are steps that should be taken. So because we don't know what's before the court, we don't know the steps she's taking already, apart from what gets to social media. I know social media only flag the things that are colorful, the sensational things. Nobody really cares about the unsensational things. So it's the sensational things that we're hearing about. We don't know the other things that have been done, that they're doing. So now, if you go back to a situation where the person is saying, I am scared. Now, there's different things you can do when you're scared of someone. The law enforcement agents are there. There are so many things you can do. It's not just enough. This is a human being. No matter how guarded the person can be or how powerful the people are, or they could be, there are things that could be done.
All right, let me get a few more questions in for you, sir.
So some of these cases last a very long time. So you are still in custody battle for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and nobody's paying attention to the emotional needs of the child. What do you think about the welfare system equipping itself in such a way that they can hold the children till the court sorts it out so that the person who is now fit to have custody of the child can get it? Is there anything we can start doing in our welfare system to provide a form of stability for these children in the interim?
Of course. So I refer to two laws, the Maternal Causes Act and the Child Rights Law in Nigeria. Right. Now, under the Child Rights Law, the state government can actually intervene and do this thing you're talking about. As a matter of fact, no custody order will ever be given without the report from what they call welfare officers. So this system already exists. But it doesn't happen automatically. You have to actually ask. You have to actually reach out. You have to actually, do you understand what I'm saying? The state won't just come to, just because you've posted something on social media, come and help you. No. You have to actually reach out. Take the necessary steps.
Right.
We're talking about a matter or matters, because in this matter, this is the same case we're talking about. We don't just have one case in court. There are fundamental human rights matter in court. There's the child custody matter in court. All kinds of things are in court. They are dragging all kinds of things that we don't know about. We don't know the issues, the full issues. Now, the government can actually get involved at this stage if they are not already involved. There's a welfare office in every local government. I don't know if people are aware of this. We have social workers.
Yes, we do.
In major states, since the issue we're talking about is the Lagos State, in major states,
so, sir, this woman in question, therefore, can go to Lagos State government and ask that she wants access to her children and get them to compel the man to ensure she gets to see her children.
Why are you not addressing the fact that in Nigeria, law favors powerful people?
So Tope just raised another part, which is that our law seems to favor powerful people because this same man is influential. All he needs to do is call 1 or 2 people and say, please don't come to my house.
Then it's the enforcement.
It's the enforcement, yes.
So in that situation, how will we address it? Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, if we're talking about the same man, I would like you to know that this person is not above the law. This person has been investigated by the FCC. His account has been frozen repeatedly. He has all kinds of issues. So he's not above the law. Clearly not. The law gets to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
In many ways, he is not above.
Okay.
It could be influential in some circles, but not above it. No.
Okay. Yes. All right, go ahead, Mariam.
So I would like to ask a question. For a woman that finds herself in a situation like this, and she does not want for it to escalate to what we're discussing right now, what sort of advice would you give her? What sort of steps would you advise her to take towards resolving issues like this?
Okay. I don't know what you mean by escalate. Could you clarify escalate? What is escalate to you? Because some people going to cause escalation.
To the point where you don't see your child for many months and sometimes years, to the point where you are now on social media or the media seeking help from Nigerians or the world to help you.
So what could she have done in the earlier stage?
In the beginning, initially, what could they have done? What could she have done? Especially a woman that finds herself married to someone who is quite influential. There's some wisdom. Lawyers, you see it ahead and say, why don't you do it this way and this way? This will help you.
Okay, if we're talking about the same person, I saw the video online, the interview with a popular person who interviews celebrities, right? So now, in that video she mentioned, she had just put to bed, tired and all that. And then there was an issue, so she just walked out of the house. Okay, so if that is the only option she had, because according to the interview, she had walked out repeatedly, which means she just walked out on her own and left the children behind. So some people will advise, some people will suggest, in walking out, maybe go with the children. Some people do it, right? It is not the best step to take. But if custody of the children matters to you, it is something that you always do. Like, you make sure the children are where you want them to be when the matter gets to court. Because the first thing, when the matter gets to court, all parties concerned are supposed to maintain that status quo. What that means is that if at the point it goes to court, the children are with that status quo, pending any other decision. If the children are with him, status quo. If the children are with her father, that's status quo. So status quo is the state it exists at the point before the matter gets to court or before, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your thoughts on this.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you enlightening us on this. We're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take some phone calls and read some messages. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, thanks for staying with us. So we just cracked the joke. But listen, we have to talk about this issue properly because we've heard from the lawyer.
Sorry.
The lawyer has said his own from the legal perspective. Now we're talking from, we have sisters, friends in this kind of situation. And based on what I've learned from the lawyer today is that if you're in that situation, you're married to a governor, somebody so big up there, and there's a lot of hardship going on within you, the first thing, you must have, one of the defense mechanisms is have one auntie that nobody knows about, that your husband doesn't know about. There's got to be somebody that you trust. That you don't talk about so much to your husband. Okay. Maybe you want to mention that person once in a while, and you just keep a relationship because that's somebody that you know that you can run to. Because you know the kind of marriage that you are in. Hey. If you're in that kind of marriage, where this man is very influential, he can do anything, that one and work friend, someone you trust, that is far away somewhere. They know if you say Jack Robinson, I carry my children, go there first. If they now take you to court, remain status quo means that I still have my children. Whilst the court process, because that's what I have learned from Mr. Chidozie.
But Morayo, it's not easy. It's not easy, depending on the sort of man you're married to. I don't know if I should share this story, but I had this family member who was very... Nobody could talk to him, basically, growing up as a child then. And he had issues with his wife, and you dare not carry his child, whether he's at home or not. The mother is afraid of him. The father is afraid of him. The family members are afraid of him. When he speaks, everybody is shaking. You dare not. And he had about 4 wives who, at some point, had to leave their children because he was abusing them, you know, domestic abuse and all that. And they had to run. And they would sneak in, trying to find a way to get their children. The whole family will log, he will kill us. If you take this child, we know that you need your children. But if you take this child, this man will kill us today. He will hunt you down like a lion. Yes, he will hunt you down wherever you are. And so those women left their children behind at different points. And this man, you know, had to raise this case. So it also depends on the type of family that you fall into. We just pray that our head does not catch bad things, honestly, because you can't say. And it's also okay to pay attention to how a man treats his family members when you are dating. I always appeal, open your eyes. There are some subtle signs. You say, love, he treats me different. How does he treat another person? Pay attention to how he treats other people around you. Some of these things will help you. Me, I don't know.
They sang assurance, but the assurance did not assure.
I'm still going to vex that man and give assurance. I'm still fine. That one, I meet that. What's the name of Davido? I meet him. Because me, I am Chama's auntie. And I'm really angry. Let me take this call. Esther, are you there?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was watching before, but they're taking up our lives.
Sorry.
To meet you. Merry Christmas.
Thank
I'm
you.
a big fan of your views.
Thank you.
Jumoke,
Thank you.
And everyone.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you.
God bless you.
So,
yes,
I hope I will win a voucher today.
well, you know what? Where do you live, Jumoke?
Ma?
Where do you live?
Ma, what did you say, ma?
Where do you live?
Ikorodu.
And you have a baby? What's your baby's name?
Oluwakindara Ire.
Okay, you know what? You're going to be our winner today.
Thank you, ma.
So you're going to win the 50,000 Naira gift voucher from Ada Small.
Thank you, ma.
So now that you called us, you're one of our old callers, don't worry. So our producer will get your number. So our producer will get your number, your access, and then we'll call you. But don't worry, I'll still announce it properly towards the end of the show. Okay?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Congratulations, Esther. Like what VC said, we know that we should see the handwriting on the wall. In this particular story we're discussing, there were several other people that have, the handwriting was there. But you see, when you meet someone, and usually, you might have heard, oh, this person beats people, and then you meet them, they are the most loving, the most attentive, and then they will tell you how they have changed. All that story was in the past, and then you see someone and you're feeling, should I judge this man based on what they said or how he has treated me? What I should tell you? Judge by antecedents. Yes. But most of the time people tend to say, because I would have said before that judge by how you are being treated. Because I've heard that many times people change all of that. But now, with the wisdom of old age, I have plenty gray hair. Even despite the dye, the gray is showing. I will tell you, don't judge by what you see.
But now,
judge by what he's doing.
Let me therefore add a bit to that. So if you enter a marriage where the handwriting on the wall is very clear, and you saw the antecedents is there, right? What strategy, therefore, would you enter with? Do you adopt? What strategy? Because the man is rich. He will give you comfortable. He will make you travel to Dubai. But you have all the perks of this marriage. If you're entering
antecedents was domestic violence, get a helmet, get a body armor. I don't know. Well, I will say that you have to protect yourself. But I married a man who used to be married before, and I remember one of the things that I looked at that helped me to say, okay, this might be the person, was his relationship with his children. Fantastic relation. I thought he was then I think he's such a great father. And I would like that for my children. So sometimes meeting someone who used to be married before, it's like an expo on what you will see. You will go through yourself. With single people, and especially young people, those ones, they're still finding themselves. So I even feel that's even a harder decision to make, because people will develop, will grow, some things will change. But for someone who's been married before, you can tell how they did it. There's some minor mistakes that you can look away, but then there are some things that are really important. It's also important to find out what they say about the ex, how they discuss the person. So even if it ended up badly, if you have a man that is constantly bringing down their person, my sister, think about it twice, because the way he talks about that one, he will talk about you that way, and he says a lot. So
let me ask that quickly. The cane where they use flog first wife, they have for the back of the door, they wait for the second one.
But the point is, it still goes back to strategy. You may have had a strategy. Because the truth is that even though this man comes in and you are able to see the good side, and you accept the good side, but there's somewhere behind your mind, okay, this man went through this road before, and it didn't work out. So I gotta have an exit plan just in case something twitches. You need to have. So you as a woman has been entering like so. For those of you who are in regular, the new guys, their strategy. But you are entering a man who has been there before.
You will double up.
You gotta have a strategy.
They can give you the money for bone streets. Don't buy the bone streets yet. Go and buy land. Go and buy a house. Have someone you can move into, because most cases you see people that live very glam. They are dressing well. And then one thing goes wrong like this, they don't have any amount in their account. So the man is funding your lifestyle, but you have no backup. If he sends you out, even a car that you will drive, you don't have.
Let me take this call from Vivian. I have a story. If I share this story, this person will know who I'm talking about. Don't call me. Vivian, are you there?
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
You're live, Vivian. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
For AG. I'm a regular viewer of your view.
Yes.
Wow, I'm happy to get you guys today.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well done, of your ladies of your view. I admire you guys every day, every morning. I keep in the TV set watching you guys. I love your show.
Thank you. Love you too.
Yeah.
All right. Have a fantastic
All right. Thank you very much,
You
Vivian.
wanted to share a story.
Please share this story.
You see, I know of somebody who entered a marriage where there were handwriting on the wall, and immediately she entered that marriage, she knew what she was going there for. The bone streets, the travel around the world, the exorbitant lifestyle. She knew it was very clear. And she went there for that. And just like you said, as the man was giving her, she was skipping. In fact, this woman did it to the point where she got a house. I won't mention the place. She got a beautiful house. She got a nice, lovely car. She has 3 boys and 1 girl. Quickly pop out the children. Had acts, you know, and then the man started going crazy. He left her for another woman, but she was secure. So even though she was hurt and crying, she was crying in her beautiful house that she had already bought. She was crying in her new house. She was crying. Wisdom. She didn't enter blind love blindly. She entered with her eyes open.
Very good. Very good. But I also want to know, like, how long did it take before the man got crazy? Because some people get there and it's 1 year. Some people it's 2 years.
Her oldest child was about 8 years old.
So some people don't have enough may not have gathered enough to get a beautiful house. But it's always good to have something to put aside to help you be independent. You know, another thing I wanted to mention is because a lot of people may think, oh, he has a lot of money, he showed that video. He thought he showed that video. Look at how happy they are. Look at their large room. Look at all the nannies. Money does not always translate to happiness or best parenting. Yes, they may have all the nice things in that thing in the house, but the love, the care, the attention of a mother, even if you have less than what you know it will be if you're in a marriage, it's still it's important that you create a happy place. So I just don't want you to be thinking of creating a big house, but create mindsets where your child or your children, if you live with them, will feel safe with you. Because there's something else where when you move and the children are constantly reminded of your bitterness, of your anger, you're taking that child into another toxic environment.
Okay. Let me emphasize this for people who would be planning to get into marriage. Love is a beautiful thing. We all love love on this table. But it's wise that you open your eyes to see even how your husband-to-be relates with his family members, relates with his friends. If you get involved with a man who does not have respect for any form of authority, know that you are getting into a war zone because nobody can calm him down, nobody can tell him something and he will listen. It's always a very big red flag. Don't fear, no, he's a man of himself. He has money, he's okay. Tomorrow, you will need something and he cannot listen to anybody to help you. So pay attention to those things. And we advise young people when you're getting into marriage, even as a single, like our husbands does not have additional people when we came. We met them saying, you have to be independent. What do you have in your hands that you can do that would help you survive and help your children as well, so that you're not constantly in that place feeling terrible, having resentment feelings, and then raising those children in that toxic environment. If it's not working, you can take yourself out. You know that at least you and your children will not be hungry. So if you're getting into marriage and you want to be lazy, I beg you have a rethink.
Okay, I hear you, but there's also that part. We forget. See, there have been arranged marriages that have worked for years. Yes. Doesn't mean that the woman is all over lovey-dovey, head over heels. But you can't actually enter a marriage because maybe the man is 60 years old and you are maybe 40 or 35. He's like, I want to settle down. You're not head over heels. He's not the best-looking guy. He doesn't have a pot belly. At least he can take care of you. And you're going there with your head screwed on tight. And this is what I'm here for. Yes. You enter it. You get the house you want. Your children are happy. You already have father figures. Your brother, your uncles. You already have father. You planned it. These are the people that will be the father figures for my children. Just in case this man you are. No, I'm just saying. Just in case the man you are. Because the man might be there with you. No problem. But just in case he was.
One thing with this arranged marriage is
you at some point.
One thing with this arranged marriage.
No, hold on, please. What should the men do when they are getting married in case the woman you want in future? Because we have crazy women.
The one the man's want. If the woman he would pick another.
You out of the house.
No, he would not pick another babe. Bring it to the house and life continues. It's the women that are left to find out to make it.
And most of these arranged marriages, the expectations are low. So I'm not going there because I'm expecting Indian movie love, dancing in the garden and things like that. I know this is what I want and this is what I expect this marriage to provide for me. And it should be Well, you know, Oprah and her friend Gail, they were asking them questions about what should the woman do if she finds herself in a toxic marriage and she wants to leave? And I was blown away because Oprah is a wealthy woman. And she says, I will always tell a woman, I may not advise a woman to leave, but she tells me it's so toxic that there's domestic violence. I will say, don't just leave. make sure you have a plan. So you must create a plan. You know, a lot of times we say it as if, oh, this Nigerian woman just want to get car and get bone straight. But even people abroad that are making lots of money are like, when you are leaving, make sure that you have a plan down and someone who is helping you to remind you of that plan. Because sometimes the going now gets a bit good and then you forget your plan. That will remind you have a plan.
I think we can stand on that note. Thank you very much, ladies. I think we're done with that topic now. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we have a sponsored segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.